Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that so many parents wonder about. What's going on when your child seems to be struggling with physical coordination? We're going to explore how we can shift our thinking, and our approach to help them move from feeling clumsy to feeling genuinely confident. You know that feeling? You're watching your kid on the playground, maybe they're kind of hanging back a little, and you just can't help but wonder, why does running or climbing or just catching a ball seem so much harder for them than for the other kids? It's a tough question. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what you might be noticing. And let me just say, it's not all in your head. What you're seeing is real, and it's way more than just the usual bumps and bruises that come with being a kid. There are some really common signs to look for. So take a look at these. Do any of them sound familiar? Maybe your child trips over what seems like thin air, a lot, or they really struggle with things like catching a ball or they hesitate on the playground ladder. Maybe they just seem a little bit slower than their friends. Or maybe you've noticed they've started to avoid the playground altogether. These are all totally valid things to observe. And look, this goes so much deeper than just being picked last for the kickball team. These physical challenges, they can ripple out and affect everything. How they do in school, their confidence in sports, and, this is the big one, how they feel about themselves. That can be such a heavy weight for a little person to carry around. But this is where we need to make a really important shift. It is time to drop that label of clumsy and start looking at this through a whole new lens. And trust me, this part can change everything. This is the single most important thing to remember. Clumsiness is not a personality trait. It's not who your child is. It's just a word we use to describe a challenge they're having. And you know what? Challenges are something we can work on. This is such a huge piece of the puzzle. See, coordination isn't something you're just born with. It is a learned skill. Think of it like this incredible partnership between the brain and the body, a dance that uses balance, strength, timing, and just knowing where your body is in space. All of these are things that can be taught and improved. And we really have to get this. That kid who's sitting on the sidelines, so often they are desperate to jump in and play. The problem is this deep, deep frustration they feel when their body just doesn't seem to listen to what their brain is telling it to do. And that feeling? Well, that's what leads them to just stop trying. So the big question is, why does this disconnect even happen? What are some of the things going on underneath the surface? Because figuring out the why is really the first step toward figuring out how we can best help. Well, it's usually not just one thing. For some kids, it could be a condition called developmental coordination disorder, or DCD. For others, it might be about sensory challenges, or maybe a weaker core that's throwing off their balance. Sometimes it's just about missing a few of those early motor milestones. Knowing these possibilities helps us move from just feeling confused to having some actual clarity. Okay, so we've seen the signs, and we've talked about some of the reasons why. Now for the really hopeful part. What can we do to help? This is where we start a journey through something I love to call purposeful play. The first step, it's not some scary medical test, not at all. It's basically a playful guided session where a therapist can see how your child moves. From there, they can figure out exactly what your child's strengths are and where the challenges lie, so they can build a plan that is 100% customized for them. And the therapy itself? Honestly, it just looks like a whole lot of fun. The sessions are built around games and activities that are so engaging, the kids don't even realize they're working. The whole goal here is progress, absolutely never pressure. And this is a perfect example of how it works. See that obstacle course? To a kid, it's just a game. But really, it's building motor planning and agility. Those fun balance games, they're building core stability. Tossing a ball around? That's developing timing and hand-eye coordination. Every single fun activity has a very clear purpose behind it. Which brings us to what this is really all about. This isn't just about getting better at catching a ball. No, it's about building a solid foundation of confidence that's going to last them their entire life. I mean, just look at this journey. A child moves from a place of frustration to one of real enjoyment, from avoiding play to being an eager participant. That feeling of low confidence gets replaced by a much stronger, more resilient sense of self-esteem. That is what success really looks like. So when you boil it all down, what's the number one goal in all of this? It's simple. It's to help every single child feel capable, feel confident, and feel genuinely excited to get out there and move. So the biggest takeaway here is simply a message of hope. Improvement is not just possible, it's likely. With the right kind of support, focusing on this kind of purposeful play, kids can build the skills they need to dive into school, sports, and just everyday life way more fully and joyfully. I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. What if we just reframe this whole thing? What if the real goal isn't just about better movement? What if it's about helping to raise a bolder, happier, more confident kid who's ready to take on the world?